Hello everyone, it's AO from AOKane, and today I will be doing our work hour. So usually Citrus Dev does these on Wednesdays, and then we throw them on the channel. But today it will be me AO because Citrus is busy with final week, and I don't blame him. I'm in finals week as well. So while we're all busy, we'll try and get as much done as we can here. And I've blocked out a little basic to-do list for us this work hour. So we're gonna start with making an enemy base class for the steampunk game, and we're still thinking of a name for the game. We're not too certain on anything we really want to do yet, but there has been discussion. So I want you guys to know that we're getting there. Now, I haven't programmed in a little while because I have been making art assets for many games, not just this one. So we're going to call this enemy base, and we will get going from there. Inside our base class, we're going to need a bunch of things, but the first thing I want to do is I want to make this an abstract class, so no one thinks to use this as, like, you can use this as the class. It's not meant for that. You're meant to build off of an abstract class. So it's going to be a parent class, and what that means is there's going to be other classes that will have enemy base where mono behavior is. That'll make it so anything we put in this class will work for other classes with that enemy base. So we're going to make an enum. We're going to call that enemy states. And what this is going to hold is what our enemy is going to be doing, like what action they're taking. So I want to do a few things like patrolling. I think that's how you spell patrolling. I am still dyslexic. I don't know if I've mentioned that on the channel, but I am dyslexic. It's something I have to deal with in my life, and it makes reading and things like that a little bit harder for me. But you know, it is what it is. Taking damage or like getting hurt. I don't know. I feel like that's something that should be important. And then a dead state, so like the enemy knows it's dead, it's not doing anything. And we'll do that. I also feel like we'll need a protected rigid body 2D. So we are working on a 2D project. I actually like to name this like R. Well, let's go with rigid. You know, I'm going to commit a sin here, actually. Oh my god. There we go. Rigid body 2D. No, I don't like that. We're going to name it RB. That's what I usually do with rigid bodies is RB, but I am indecisive on how I want to name stuff. Along with that, I feel like we'll need some protected floats. Something that all enemies should have. There we go. Jeez. Is a move speed. And not dead speed, but I feel like maybe a chase speed. So like if they're chasing you, they move a bit faster. What else do we want to have in here? I feel like we should probably keep a transform of where the player is on the screen. So like a protected transform player. Along with that, we could have, well, what we're gonna need is also a protected enemy state. And we'll call that current state. And we'll set that equal to patrolling to start. So like when an enemy spawns in, they'll be already patrolling. I feel like that just makes the most sense out of what we have here. We could have like an idling one as well, but I think for the purposes of today, we'll just start with patrolling. We'll also need what direction we're facing. So we could do facing right, equal true. So our enemies will spawn in facing the right direction, and then we can flip-flap that back and forth. Should be all the variables we need inside of our enemy base class. Could do some headers here though, so organize some organization. We'll call this attributes. Oh my goodness, there we go. Is that how you spell attributes? Not too sure. You know what a word I can spell is? Settings. We're gonna call it settings instead. And that should be fine for that. Moving forward, let's do a protected awake function. Protected void awake. And now because this is an abstract class, we're gonna need it to be a virtual void. That way we can override it later. And all we'll need to do in here, inside the base class at least, is we probably should do rb equals get component rigid body 2D. And then we could also do this is kind of right. Instead of doing get component though, I want to do equals game object dot find dot find with tag, and we'll find the object with the player tag. And, I think that game object should. Oh, it's a transform. That's right. And then it's happy. Perfect. On top of that, we'll need a protected virtual void, and we'll call that state machine. And what we're going to do in here is just a big switch statement of all of the states we have. So basically we put in what state we have, and it'll have an output based on that. So what we'll do is switch. This is going to be current state. Spelled that wrong. There we go. And inside here, we need to have brackets, and then we're going to do case enemy states patrolling, and then we'll break. Nope, not that. And then we need case enemy chasing, break, case enemy attacking, break, dead. Keep organization. I want to do taking damage. Break. And dead. Break. That should be perfect. Along with that, we're also going to need protected virtual void patrolling logic. And we're just going to leave that empty for now. We'll need... we'll need attack logic at some point, but we're going to do chasing. Attacking. We'll need dead logic, so I'll just tab it in there. But I would also like taking damage logic to go first. And then what we're going to do is in each state machine, we're going to have it plug in right here. So here we'll be chasing. And what this is going to do is just based on this state machine, it's going to run these functions. And they're empty here and we want them to be empty because this is just a base class. So like the more defined logic inside these will be done inside the child class. So for example, like this attack logic that is empty here could trigger an animation or something in the child class. I don't know if we'll get to that today. It depends on how long all this takes. I'll probably just keep going until I'm finished, though. We'll see. So with that, we have like a little basic state machine, and we'll want to check our state machine in a, we could do an update. We'll throw it in update for now. Correct void update. And we got that. And this is just going to be state machine. So that way, whatever, based on whatever state we're in, we're going to follow our current state logic that is going to be in all here. So going from there, we could do some other basic functions like, let's say a protected virtual void, not dead. Let's do flip. And what flip is going to do is pretty simple. It's going to say facing right is equal to not facing right. So we're just going to flip our direction. So vector3 dot or scale is equal to transform dot local scale. And then we'll do scale dot x times equals -1. And then we'll do transform dot local scale equals scale. And that might be a little like silly of a way of doing that, to be honest. We could just do transform dot local scale dot, is it the x direction? I think, yeah, it is x. Because y would be vertical, and then z does goofy stuff in 2D. I forget what rotating or scale z does in 2D, but yeah. What else could we do? We will need another thing, but we're gonna make this a public void, so anything can call it. So, and we're gonna call this change state, and this requires an enemy state, and we're gonna call it new state, and we're just gonna say current state equals new state, and that should be good there. What else can we throw in here so there's less programming in the future? Do we want to label any of these else? I don't think so. I think it's fine. Let's do a protected virtual void. Again, not dead. I don't know why it keeps filling that. Maybe it's because I'm right below dead logic. But we'll do move. Yeah. And we're gonna do float direct. And all we're gonna do here is we're gonna take rb.velocity, or not velocity. I mean, yes, velocity, but it would be linear velocity. And we're gonna equal it to a new vector2 direction. And we're gonna multiply that by, I think we declared a move speed earlier, yeah. And then we're gonna make this a move x, actually. I feel like that'll be better for future. And then we're gonna do rb dot velocity dot y. That just makes it so the linear velocity of the rigid body maintains its y velocity while we change the x velocity. So say it's falling, which we don't have a falling state, but realistically, I don't see our enemies. I mean, if they get knocked off a platform, they'll start falling. But for purposes as of now, this should be fine. This is, I'm just trying to set up a basic like patrolling on a platform enemy. So yeah, we'll just do a move X, and then we can throw that inside the these two potentially. But if we have a move X, we need a chase X as well. And the reason we need that is so we can use the chase speed instead. And that way, if players in sight, we can switch to the chase speed, and that will give us a good, like, different speed, change up the tone, make the player feel a little bit more worried that they're actually going to get caught by the enemy rather than it inching towards them the way it would in its movement. But yeah, let's see what else we got. Other than that, I'm trying to think of what else we could throw in a base class for now. That might be good, honestly. Could throw. I mean, everything's gonna need an animator, but do I want the animator to be in the base class? I mean, yeah. We'll do a protected animator, and we're gonna call this anim. Sorry for the hard ass sound. I don't know if that sounded bad or not, but yeah. Protected animator, we'll call that anim. When we need anything else, we're gonna call this header references. I think that's that's how you spell references. Should be fine. I mean, to be fair, we could throw the transform player under references, but that's not exactly the same thing. I just like to keep the organization clean, so this will look nice in something. I don't know. It's never going to be thrown on an object directly, but I mean, you'll still see these inside the editor. Actually, do you see protected classes in the editor, or is that only public? I mean, we'll find out in a second here. But I think that's all we need for the enemy base class. We'll let that compile for a second. For more than a second, apparently. My goodness. Unity is not liking our base class. 20 seconds. For what? How many lines of code? 90-ish. Could be smaller if we condensed it a bit, but why are we taking so long to compile? There we go. Reload domain. There we go. Yeah. So I'm not gonna make a spawning system right now because that's a whole nother thing, but let's just focus on something so zoom speed's not garbage. Okay. Let's click 2D. So we're back in. Oh, 2D looks so bad with how our perspective camera set up. That's funny. Looks good over here though. Okay. So let's make a. I think we have this. It's a slime, right? Or I made art for something else. Yeah, it was a slime. Okay. We'll call him. I like naming things Jimmy while I work on them, so we're gonna call him Jimmy. And we're gonna give him a patrolling think that's... Is it? I think it's that. Patrolling enemy. Yes. And we want it to be saved in scripts. I don't think the enemy base class was saved in scripts, actually. I think that was in assets. That's my bad. I'll fix that later. And we gotta compile again. Because I made one script. That's fine. Ugh. Doing this at like 1 in the morning, by the way. I got really sucked into a show called How to Get Away with Murder. Came out in like 2014, I think. But I don't know, I was what? It's 2025 now. It's like 11 or 12 at the time, so yeah. Wasn't exactly appropriate for my age, but now that I'm an adult and in college, whatever, not that bad. But we've got patrolling enemy, and the first thing I want to do here is we're gonna inherit from our enemy base, and this needs to be override. Predicted override void update. All right. Yeah, I don't think I need that yet, because all we're doing in there is checking for our class. But let's see what we need. So if we want to do this with raycasts, we'll need a pretty flexible system for setting up the raycast distance on stuff. So let's do a few floats. And we'll do player array distance. Set that to like 5F. And that's gonna be the raycast that we use to check if the player's in line of sight of the enemy. Because I think doing line of sight would be cooler than just like a targeting range. If it's too complicated though, we'll probably switch to the targeting range option. We'll do a wall, so if we run into a wall, we'll flip like 0.5F. Public float edge, and we want that one for if our enemy is about to walk off the edge of something. We'll need a little raycast that shoots down, and if it doesn't detect anything, it'll flip the guy around. And then we also need another float. We could do this with a box glider as well, with like a on trigger 2D, but I think I want to do like an attack ray. And we're gonna set that to like 0.75F. If I remember right. Why are we angry? Ah, I'm silly. Okay. And we'll set these as headers. Array cast distance. I think that should be good. On top of that, for our raycasts, we'll need some layer masks. And we'll need the player layer. We'll need the wall layer, and we'll need the edge raycast will look for the ground. So we can do ground. Ooh. Layer. we'll do that. And then for this player raycast, we'll need to do like if the player is in that raycast. So that would be private is player in we could do is player in range, but range is kind of weird, so let's do site. That'll start false. Oh yeah, that's a bool. I was wondering why I was angry for a second. Okay. Now is the fun part. So we have our state machine, and first off we're gonna do our patrolling logic. So let's do a protected override void patrolling logic, and we're gonna get rid of base because we don't need that. We're gonna need a float direction. I say facing right. Are we facing right? If so, it's 1. If not, it's -1. And then we'll probably want to plug that into our move X. And we'll just give it dir. And then on top of that, we need a helper function. That helper is going to be oh nope ground we need it to be, let's see, it'd be a private bool is ground ahead. And in here, we're gonna do the raycast for checking the ground layer. So if there's ground below us, and we'll need that to be offset a little bit. So instead of being the transformed by position, we'll need to add a little bit to like the X and stuff. So how this starts is a vector 2, and we're gonna name that origin. So this is like the starting place of the raycast. Is equal to a new vector 2. That's gonna be transformed position x plus. So again, we're gonna need to check if we're facing left or right. So we can do facing right question. If so, we'll do 0.5. If not, we will do negative 0.5. And then we need transform dot position dot y. Yeah. Transform dot position dot x plus facing right. Why are you angry with me? Cannot convert a float into a double. Oh, I understand now. That should be fine. Yeah. Yeah. And then we also need our raycast hit 2D, and we're gonna call that hit. And that's gonna be equal to physics 2D dot raycast. And we're gonna start that at origin, and we're gonna go down, I'd assume down in 2D is referring to negative y. I'm thinking like top-down stuff as well, but I think that should be what we need. And then all this is going to return is hit dot collider. Not equal. I spelled return wrong. Local variable named hit is already defined in the scope. Variable hit is declared but never used. There we go. Okay. And then next thing inside of our patrolling logic is the reason we needed this helper function is we're going to do if there's not ground ahead, we will blip. And that is the function we made in the base class as well. I need to do that. One too many. There we go. Okay. And then on top of flipping, we will return. And that should be good. What else do we need? I suppose the next thing we'll need is another if statement, but we'll need a new helper function to check if there is a wall ahead. And that's going to be pretty much the same as the is ground ahead, but without the offset. And instead of looking down, we're going to look straight ahead of where the enemy is moving. So we're going to name this is wall ahead. Some parentheses, some spicy stuff right there. Vector 2. This is also going to be I suppose we don't need an origin. It would just be direction. So that's going to be equal to facing right. And again, we're going to check if it's vector 2 right. Otherwise, no. I'm going to use vector 2 left. That should be good there. One sec, I have to cough. Sorry about that. We need a raycast hit 2D. We're gonna call this hit again equal to physics 2D dot raycast. And this is just going to be transform dot position direction. It's gonna look for edge ray. I feel like that's no. We want wall ray distance. That's right. And then this will also be checking. Did I make a wall layer? Yeah, this will be checking for the wall layer. And that layer mask was probably gonna have to include the ground layer stuff as well. So maybe we just do ground layer. We'll see. But this is going to return same thing. Just if there's a collider there. And basically the same logic as we have here is if there is a wall ahead, we will flip and return. And then otherwise, that should be good. What else do we need to check in our patrolling logic? So currently, we're moving. If there's no ground, we flip and we go the other direction and then we return. So we start moving again. And then if the ground is there, we'll check for a wall. And if there is a wall ahead, that was almost logical error. If there is a wall ahead, we'll flip. And then after checking for both the wall and ground, we need to look for the player. So, with that, we need another helper function. Yippee! So, we'll throw that up here. We'll do a private bool is player ahead. And all this is going to do is a vector to dir again. And that's going to check the same stuff as this, basically. So we'll just do that. And then instead of wall ray distance, we're going to do player ray distance. And instead of checking the wall layer, we're going to check on the player layer. And then with that, we are going to return same thing. So hit dot collider equals not equal to null. That should be good, right? Yeah. And then we're gonna do if is player ahead. I don't like doing my semicolons like that. Get down there. Okay. If player is ahead, we're going to change state into chase. Enemy states dot chasing. I think that is all we need in our player logic. Would we want to put, I think we'll do that in the chasing state instead. Either way, that's looking pretty good. So now we have a patrolling logic. Along with that, let's do our, well, let's just test our patrolling logic first. So, oh, button on my mouse to decrease my sense. Did not like that. Okay. Let's look at Jimmy here. And if our patrolling's working, let me check the recording length. We're only at 40 minutes. We could probably get this done. We'll see. Depends how long it takes to compile. If patrolling's working though, should be chilling pretty good. Player layer. We don't really have a wall layer yet, so I'm just gonna set that to ground, and I'm also gonna set that to ground. And then Jimmy here is in need of a rigid body 2D. Along with that, it is in need of a animator. Not that the animator's gonna do anything yet, but it needs one. Anything else we need from the base class? It needs a move speed and all that jazz. That's right, that's right. Okay. So I'm gonna change a couple things up in here. First of all, I forgot to do this. And yeah, that. And then we are also going to require component. I think we do that like this. And we need to require a rich body 2D. And I think that's all you have to do for that. No. What's it yelling at me? Well, we'll just make sure it's on there. But what I do want to do is make this public so it's adjustable in the editor. Same with you. That should be all we need to make public in here. That's already public, and that should be the only thing we need to update. Because right now our speed's gonna default to 0, so we're not gonna move anywhere. But with that done, we can make our move speed 5 and our chase speed 8, because why not? Along with that, these should be okay. We do need a collider though. So we'll just do I'll do a box collider 2D for now. And on our rigid body, we do need to freeze the rotation. Yeah. And then we can do do I want to separate the visuals? Yes. Sprite. And the animator will just be tied to a thing below it, but I think we'll throw on. We'll just throw. Oh no, sprite renderer, and we'll throw that guy on there. Look at that cutie. Look at that cutie patootie. Then we'll make sure Jimmy's just centered real quick. And he'll fall. It's an interesting place for it to land. 1 second. Where is your box collider? Yeah. Oh, Jimmy's collider is wrong. Hold up. Wait a minute. We'll do that at the center. Yeah, that's not where we want that. Now is it? Just say Jimmy's. For a game, you always want to go a little bit smaller than the like sprite itself. So like I'm not going to include these little extremities for movement's sake. For attack bot's sake, it'll be a little different, but that should make that better. Okay. So what is Jimmy doing right now? Why is that disabled? What's disabling it? Very interesting. I'm gonna move Jimmy to start on the ground instead. That's not the issue though. Do I need to host? Oh. So something that we've been needing to do for a while, but I haven't been in charge of doing any of this stuff is that. Okay. That was gonna bother me. So now it shouldn't rotate when yeah, there we go. That was pretty funny. Jimmy, what is wrong with you? Not that. That. Okay. We're patrolling. There's no player. Player's found on start though, so what if we just enable it? Okay. We're getting some issues. Here and there. I don't know why this is getting disabled on start though. Would that be due to any of this? I don't know. I haven't set up any of the network stuff. That was our other team member. Not Citrus, but another one. I forget his preferred developer name, so I'm not gonna mention it currently. But yeah, constraint proportion scale. Why are you disabled? Did you get enabled by something else? So we're still patrolling. We're not running into the player at all. Does the player have any? No, it does. Okay. Lunchtime. Bum, bum, bum. Interesting. Okay. Maybe I should make it so we can see our array cast, so we can see what's going on here. I want to do that. We'll need a gizmos call. So we'll do a private void on draw gizmos, and we'll do gizmos selected. And then we'll do if application is playing, is not playing. We will return. So only draw these when we are in play. Otherwise, don't worry about it. I'll do a vector 2, and this is going to be dir. And it's going to be that same facing right check. So we'll just copy and paste that down here. Okay. So we need a gizmos for each thing. We also we're just gonna worry about movement first. I was thinking about if we should set up the raycast for our attack range, but our movement's not working yet, so let's get this working first. So we'll do gizmos dot color, and we'll do yellow. That's fine. Gizmos dot draw a line from transform dot position transform dot position plus what would it be? It would be a vector 3 for gizmos, right? And then we're gonna need dir times layer ray distance, and we need another parentheses there. And that should be good for that guy. And then we can do practically the same thing, I believe, for the so the player. Let's do the wall next, because yeah, I think that's gonna be the same, except for it's gonna be wall distance, and we'll change the color of that to red. And then keep this like the same order as it is over here. We'll check for ground, so we're gonna need a ground check, and if a wall's red, the player's actually, I want to make the player green, just so that's like, yeah, there's a player there green. We'll make this red as well, actually, because it's going down, so it won't conflict with this, or at least it shouldn't. And this is going to be a vector 2 because we need a edge origin. Yeah. And we're going to set that to a new vector 2 transform dot position dot x plus and you do that facing facing right, and if we're doing that we need to check it was 0.5 f versus negative 0.5 f for the x, and that's just going to be a transform dot position dot y, I believe, right? Yeah. And that's just for our origin. We still need the gizmos call for the draw line. So dot draw line from transform to position. Or no, not transform to position. It'd be edge origin. That's why we made it. To edge origin plus vector 2 dot down times edge ray distance. So yeah, that's the player, that's the edge, that's the wall. With all of that, we should be able to see what's going on. We'll throw yeah. Okay. Let's see what you're doing here, bucko. Oh, okay. Interesting. So, yeah, you're not detecting an edge because it's going from the center of Jimmy here, whereas his center is actually a bit higher. So realistically, if we just increase our edge ray distance to like 3, and our wall distance to 1.5, hopefully that'll fix it. Oh, yeah. And enable. Perfect. Look at that guy going. He detects that edge and he turns around. Isn't that so beautiful? Okay. So yeah, that's his line of sight. Which actually, let's check this out. Yeah, he now is detecting the player as well. And then that's his attack range line. Or no, that's just his wall line. That's his floor line, and then yeah, that's the player line. So currently, if we take a look at this, Mr. Player here is actually too short to get picked up by that line. I think. Pew, 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 pew. Sorry, got distracted. Funny little yellow gun. Actually, I'm gonna do something for Citrus Dev here as well, because this was bothering me earlier as well. There. So using a square and stretching it the way he has. I'm pretty sure I made a sprite for some bullets. Exactly. There we are. Yeah, so if I put you right here, and then we can change this back to zone 111, back to 0, 0. I'm getting a little distracted here. This isn't really necessary, but I want to. Prefab. Bullet. Is it just too small? Might have made... Oh, the sprite render is disabled. Oh, it is pretty small, though. This also needs to be on default instead of bullet, I think. If it's on bullet, yeah, nothing gets rendered. That's pretty small though. In it. Bullet. I'll just go that to default. I don't think that'll have any issues layer wise. I hope not. I just work here. So host. Why are we not creating a bullet now? That's why. Okay, go back. See it for a second. I'm not sure. I don't know. I won't finagle with that too much more. I just know I had a sprite for it, so I wanted to put it in. Now, what is disabling you on start is my question. Because client integrate force same prefab network manager network profile metrics. Does it get reversed if I no? I honestly don't know what's turning that off on start. It's the game manager. Interesting. Either way, we do have a patrol enemy that works, and if we probably should disable collisions like that. It's pretty funny though. That is cool. What I am gonna do is exclude layer, player. That way, if I host here, yeah, much better. I don't know if that. Nah, it seems to. Wait, I didn't know you could do that. Hold up. We gotta make a bunch of these. Bring back the host. Or did that turn it off? Nope. Ha ha ha. We have many of us. Oh, that's cool. This is silly, isn't it? Okay. Enough getting silly with it. Let's continue working on the patrol enemy, because realistically, other than the player raycast being at the origin rather than, I mean, the origin of Jimmy is down there, I could just offset the sprite a little bit. And that can be at the pivot center. Is the center of the sprite really down there? Yeah, I did do that, didn't I? That's fine. I suppose I could change all of the pivot. Actually, you know what? I thought I did change all the pivots. I guess I didn't. No, I only did that for... I got lazy, didn't I? Yeah, I changed all of his pivots, but I didn't change the slimes. That's fine. We'll work around it. By work around it, I mean we're literally just gonna move this sprite to be in the center instead. So like we're at 5. And then we can also change this back to normal. Maybe not that normal. do like that again. And that should change some of our raycast issues. Yeah, because now that is more in the center of him rather than where it was. So yeah, we got a little patrolling guy, and we'll tie some animations to him eventually. We have them all done, but that won't be done in this video. I'll probably have Citrus do that instead of me, because I think we were already about an hour in. Yeah, we just hit the 1 hour mark, and I still want to do the chasing logic. So yeah. And then along with the chasing logic, we can outline the attack logic, but I don't think we're gonna actually get that done tonight, because with that I'd have to set up the whole animation tree for the animator, and I don't want to do that right now. I'm not gonna lie. Although I know Citrus is not a big fan of the animator. He so we're friends in person as well. We go to the same university, and that's how we met. We actually met playing Super Smash Bros, which I think is kind of fun. But the where was I going with that? Yeah, no, in person he complains about the animator. Which is fair. It's pretty complex. But I feel like after some time with it, it's not too bad. So we're gonna do if player equals null return. I feel like we also need to do if player is ahead. We do player equals hit dot transform. Because doing it just on start isn't gonna work actually, because we or not on start, on awake isn't gonna work because we're doing a like host game, so it won't be in the scene right away. Or will it? We'll leave it there, just cause I feel like it. So with that, we need a float. For do we need? Trying to think of how. Yeah. So when chasing the player, we'll want the sprite to flip back and forth. We'll want the whole enemy to flip back and forth based on like if the player's on the left side or the right side, if they like jump over this line. So we need to check the horizontal direction of the player at all times during chase. So how we're gonna do this is with a sign logic of the player. No. You do position dot x. No, that minus our transform to position dot x, and that will equal our horizontal direction. So if our horizontal direction is greater than 0, so if it is facing right, I believe, and we are not facing right, we'll need to flip. But not only that, we need an or here, so that if horizontal direction is less than 0, we are facing right, then we also need to flip. So in here, get rid of that sign real quick. Flip. With that, if we are moving the right direction and don't need to flip, we can do chase move or chase X, and we will plug in horizontal dir instead of doing what we did for the normal stuff. And then I feel like we also need to check if the player leaves our line of sight. We need to return to patrolling, but I don't want to do it that way. How do I want to do this? I want to. We'll need to, like, once they leave the line of sight, we'll give it like 3 seconds, and if they're still not in line of sight, after 3 seconds, then we can return to patrolling. So, we need to do if is player not is player ahead. We need to delay, then change to patrol state, and then we'll return. And how we can do that delay, I like putting my enumerators at the bottom, is we're gonna do a private what's wrong? Private. Oh yeah, it's not put. Oh my goodness. There we go. Enumerator. Using Unity engine.collection. Forget the library enumerators are in right now. I know Visual Studio is not gonna add it for me. Enumerator. Do I want the generic or the collections? I think I wanted the one from collections. I don't think there's too much of a difference. And then it does add it for me at the top, doesn't it? Yeah, because that's how it uses it. I'm a little something here. Okay, and we are gonna name this How do we want to do this actually? Because while the enumerator is going, we need to check if player re-enters line of sight. So we could do while players out of sight. But this is going to be delayed state. Delayed patrol swap. And all we're gonna do is yield turn new wait 4 seconds. We're gonna make a new variable. Public float chase wait time, I guess, is a thing. We'll do chase wait time in there, and then we will change state to enemy states dot patrolling. And we will control this. What I name it? Change. No. Delayed full swap. There we go. I'm actually gonna do it this way. Start routine. Name of delayed patrol swap. Okay. And then else. So if there is a player ahead, we're going to end all. Does it stop quarantine? Name of. Okay. So if the player is ahead, is not ahead and remains that way for 3 seconds, we are going to swap to patrolling. But if it re-enters or is entering, then we're going to stop the quarantine delayed full swap. And that should be good there. And then we need to do a new helper function, because we also have the attack distance raycast, and this is going to be basically the same as player ahead or wall ahead, but with a different raycast. So we're just going to copy all that. Is player in attack range? Attack, and we're gonna be on the player layer again. And then yeah, we're just gonna return that collider as well. So yeah, if player is ahead, so then we need to check if player is player in attack range. If it is, we will return, or not return, we will attack, right? No, we'll change state to enemy states dot attacking, and then we'll put all of our attack logic in there. So that'll be a whole nother protected override void attacking logic. And for now, we're gonna say, I'm just gonna comment out what I want it to do. It's getting a little long in the video, so I think we're gonna call it pretty quick here, but I just want to comment out for myself next time, or for Citrus Dev, he's gonna be working on this next, what it needs to do. So currently we have these set up, and then we'll need to link up a health system for these. But yeah, this should all be fine. So what we need to do is, if player is in attack range, we need to set our animator to attack. And with that, we need to tie all hitboxes to the animation. And then at the end of the animation, we need an event, an animation event to return to either the chase state or patrolling. No, we'll just return to the chase state because we'll return to patrol based off of that. So to return to the chase state, what else do we need to do? Because any of the hitbox logic, I want to be set up in a different script. That's going to be like a flexible damage script. But yeah, I think this should be good for now. Set animator to attack. At the end of the animation, we need an animation event to return to the chase state. We also need an attack cooldown. And what else do we need? Attack cooldown. And a attack check. So it only fires once. Well, I guess the cooldown's gonna do that too. So yeah, just an attack cooldown. And we can figure that out next time. But we can go ahead and check to see. Oh, actually, I should add that gizmo call. So we have, yeah, the player, we have the edge, and we have the wall. Do the attack as well. So we have red for movement and green for if the player's in range. So we'll do blue for the attack ray. So yeah, if we get into range, it'll do the attack. Otherwise, it'll just chase and patrol. So let's see how that works. That attack race probably gonna be too short for now too. We'll change that later. But for now, should have a functioning enemy that goes between the patrolling state and the chase state, whether or not we are like the player is in sight. So got something going there. And we'll test this, and then I will either go to bed or watch some TV. We'll see. It is like 2 a.m. my time though, so going to bed's probably the better option. Okay. So we'll enable that, and it's gonna be in the move state, and then it should enter chase. Oh goodness, yes it did. And now it fell off because in chase we are not checking for ground or for a wall, are we? Yeah. Okay. So we also need to do these. Okay. That should help. Or did it save? Seemed like it compiled really fast. I guess it did. Okay. Works for me. So Jimmy here, we'll enable you again, we'll host, and we'll get a patrolling enemy, and when it turns around, it chases, and it reaches the edge. see what it does when it reaches that attack state. What state are we in right now, Jimmy? Why are we not moving? Debug. We are in the attacking state. What I do want to do, because actually we're not stopping linear velocity, is we're gonna do that real quick. Linear from rb dot linear c equals 0. Vector 2 dot 0. Okay. So that way it stops moving, does the attack, and then we'll do, yeah, some attack stuff there. You start patrolling host. Yeah, and then it switches to attack once it gets close enough. I think I want that to be less of a... I'm gonna go slower with the patrol, and then we'll have the chase be like that. And we'll increase the attack range distance a little bit, and I think that should be fine. But with that, I'll enable Jimmy as a patrolling enemy. He's pretty slow now, but I feel like that's pretty good. Enters chase. I get out of the way. He gets depressed for a second. I don't know. And then he attacks, and he'll stop for now because there's no attack logic and nothing to return it to patrol. But we've got a pretty good basic enemy going here, and I'm pretty happy with that. Only thing I am gonna do for Jimmy right now, animation wise, is just put his walk animation in. Because that's really simple. I just drag all this onto Jimmy's sprite. And then inside art, anim, we do slime, walk. And then object not set to a reference. Okay, so that should be, or not. Jimmy, what are we doing? Okay, I see what happened here. Remove component. Delete this. Delete this. Animator. It's gonna be mean, so I'm just gonna put the animations in myself. Create. Jim. No. Slime. Walk. Okay. Sprite. Record. 0. Slime. Walk. 1. Slime walk 2. Slime walk 3. Slime walk 4. And slime walk 5. Okay. Cool. Get out of my sight. We're gonna rename this to slime. And we're gonna name Jimmy to slime dash patrolling enemy. You know, that feels really fast. Say the FPS. We don't want 60 frames per second. I don't know how to change that in here though. We want it to be 12. What is 5? It's 2.2. Should be right. Yeah, there we go. Okay. You know, this is something else that's been bothering me. He has everything tied to idle, not walk. I mean, all of this it's tied to idle needs to be tied to walk too, but there's no, I don't know, he just has ignored walk for right now, but hopefully that'll be fixed soon. I'm not too worried about it for right now though. But let's see how our little friend looks while moving. And I'll get rid of the gizmos. And we just got a little factory slime guy that patrols around. And I'm pretty happy with it. I was planning on doing some work with like getting the camera to track our friend here. But that's another problem for another day. I think the sizing of the slime's pretty good too. It's about the same height as GG. So pretty happy with that. We do need to work on our colliders a little bit though, because both of them are kind of floating a little, but that's fine. Problem for another day. I think that is where I'm going to end it though. Thank you all for working through this dev session with me. If you stayed till the end of the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz. If you have any ideas for what we could do for future content that you'd enjoy watching, let us know. Otherwise, if you have any ideas for what to put into the game, also feel free to let us know there. We'd be more than happy to implement some of the suggestions in the comments. So if you got some cool items, some cool characters, some cool enemies, maybe even some bosses, feel free to put those in the comments and we'll see what we can do there. But this has been AO from Aokane, and I am peacing out.